What's up, YouTube? So, Zero Wolf here to give you guys a deck profile real quick of my build on the new Blue Eyes structure deck. I think I will actually go ahead and start with the monster lineup. So, first we have 2 Whitestone of Legend. Very obvious card. You know, you play this. Cards of Consonance to discard, draw 2, and then search out your Blue Eyes. Self-explanatory card. Next, 3 Blue Eyes. Again, Blue Eyes deck. Not to mention, you know, Blue Eyes, Rike Beater, Honestable Target, 3 Maiden with Blue Eyes. This card is the sole purpose that this deck has honestly become retardedly good. With Maiden, you can target her with your own cards, trigger her effect to rip a Blue Eyes out. If your opponent declares an attack on her, you can negate the attack, switch her battle position, and then rip a Blue Eyes out from hand, deck, or grave with both effects. The only downside is you can only do one effect per turn, and only once that turn. So that is the downside to Maiden. She as well is a level 1 tuner, which is more so broken than what people really believe. Next up, Debris Dragon 2. Now, you guys will understand more so as the video progresses why I'm running Debris Dragon. 1, it can target Maiden. 2, it's a level 4 tuner. This card in my build is ridiculous and helps me with so many OTKs. It's not even funny. Next up, 3 Tempest. This is why Debris Dragon's in here. Searchable by Tempest. Also synchros for Star Eater, or I can sync for 8. Next up, Flamville Guard. Another Cards of Consonance target. Also a target for Debris Dragon. As well, it is a normal dragon, so I can target it with Silver's Cry if I absolutely need to. And, as well, he happens to be a target for Blaster. Run 3 Blasters. Blaster's effect is too good to be ignored. 1, this is a dragon deck. Pretty much every monster in this deck is dragon, with the exception of Maiden and my next card after this. Blaster's effect being outstanding with the discard to draw, or discard him and another fire monster to destroy a card on the field. Bit nuts. Helps me get past Ophion, helps me get past things that I do not want to deal with. As well, I can banish him to search out my Flamville Guard, and then in turn go Cards of Consonance if, you know, that situation comes around. All of my targets for Blaster and Tempest, if you think, are meant for Cards of Consonance. And the last lineup in the monsters, Paracard Troopers. Milling ability, draw power, and just speeding through the deck a lot faster. Helps me get, you know, what I need to the grave very quickly. That's the monster lineup. Next up, I will do traps. This will be fairly fast. I run 2 Fiendish Chains. Each starter deck comes with a Fiendish Chain, but I felt that I didn't want to run too many because, yes, Decree is my biggest enemy when it comes to playing traps. And, you know, I don't have to worry about Heavy. Heavy Storm is no longer a threat to me, thankfully. But, as well, this deck doesn't really require it. Fiendish Chain has helped me a lot in this format, and I actually just took this deck to a tournament and went 5-0 and 2-0'd everybody that I played. So I have a lot of confidence in this deck, and Fiendish Chain was a big piece in my success. Next up, 2 Castle of Dragon Souls. Now, what this does, this card, mind you, is absolutely ridiculous. So, what it says is, Once per turn, you can banish one monster, or one dragon-type monster from your graveyard, then target one monster you control. It gains 700 attack until the end phase. Even after this card leaves the field, the monster becomes unaffected by card effects. When this face-up card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target one of your banished dragon-type monsters and special summon that target. You can only control one Castle Dragon Souls. Now, think about that. With this, I can banish a blaster, and then I can go target Maiden. Maiden effect would activate in a separate chain, but blaster would search out for another blaster or a Flamvale Guard. Or I could banish Tempest, get another Tempest, or get my Debris Dragon. And then I can go ahead and find a way to destroy this and just get my banished dragon back. This card has so much potential, and this card is so broken, it's outrageous. So I play 2. 3 is too many, see it too often, and sometimes you won't even have targets for it. And my last card for my traps is Return from the Different Dimension. Because I can do a significant amount of banishing in this deck through Castle Dragon Souls, through Blaster, through Tempest. I can banish a lot of cards fairly quickly. So with this card, this is pretty much my game-winning card. I activate this, unless they Dark Bribe me or they go Solemn Warning, this card's going to make me win. So that's why I chose this card of all cards. Next up is my spells. The spells are pretty basic. 3 MSTs. That's become a staple this format with Heavy being gone. 3 cards of consonants. I run 6 targets for this card, so I feel 3 is a good choice. As well, I run 3 trade-ins because of the fact that I tend to draw into my blue eyes more often than not, because I play 5 vanillas, so I run 3 trade-ins, and if I draw blue eyes, then I can toss it with a trade-in. If I draw, or if I can get a white stone into the graveyard, I can add blue eyes and then trade it in, and so on and so forth. Next up, Silver's Cry. This card is nothing short of broken. It's a quick play spell card that says you can target one normal dragon in your graveyard, special summon it. Only downside to it is you can only activate 1 per turn. The reason this is broken, end phase. Silver's Cry, target blue eyes, summon blue eyes. Your turn comes around. Activate a second one. 2 blue eyes hit the field very quickly. That's a scary sight. I only choose to play 2 because it's a once per turn card and they can tend to clog up in your hand. So that's the only reason why I run 2. Next up, 2 Dragon Shrines. Dragon Shrine is Foolish Burial on crack for dragons, especially dragons that play vanillas. What it says is send 1 dragon-type monster from your deck to the graveyard. Then, if that monster in your graveyard is a dragon-type normal monster, you can send 1 more dragon-type monster from your deck to the graveyard. I only played 2 because, again, you can only activate 1 per turn. Now, with this, there's so many different combos. It really depends on your setup. I could go, okay, I'm going to send a Flamvale Guard and a White Stone of Legend. Add blue eyes and do trade-in. Or I can go Flamvale Guard, send Tempest, or send Blaster, and then I could have the opposite of the E-Dragon that I sent to the graveyard, either Tempest or Blaster in hand, and then summon it by banishing those 2, and then activate the one in the graveyard, or the one that was banished effect, and sit there and proceed to do shenanigans. 2 Forbidden Lance. Forbidden Lance is more so my way to target Maiden with more cards, because Tower of Dragon Souls is a great card, don't get me wrong, but Forbidden Lance as well is one of those cards that is just really helpful and has pulled me through a game before. Not to mention, this card has pretty much become a staple in practically every deck. Next up are the last two cards. We'll start with 1-for-1. Now, this card is very, very versatile with this deck. You draw this card, it's an instant maiden. Depending on your situation, you may not need to go for a maiden. You could go for a white stone. Say you have, you know, a blue eyes, or you have a trade-in in hand that's sitting there, and you got 2 blue eyes engraved. You might as well go bring out the freaking white stone and synchro with it, and then add the blue eyes to hand, and then trade in, and shenanigans. Or you can go drop out maiden. You can drop out Flamvale Guard, but that's really not much in the way of a good option. But it's typically maiden that you go for with 1-for-1. It doesn't matter what you discard in this deck because it's all going to the same place, and this whole deck, just like E-Dragons, revolves on the grave. So that is why 1-for-1 is played. It came in the structure deck as well. Most of the cards in this are from the structure deck. And then my one special tech card, because this is a Blue Eyes deck, and I've always liked this card, and I actually want to find a higher rarity to it, but it's Burst Stream of Destruction. Now, for those of you who don't know what this does, Burst Stream of Destruction says, if you control a face-up Blue Eyes White Dragon, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. Blue Eyes White Dragon cannot declare an attack the turn you activate this card. Which is fine. You just annihilated all your opponent's monsters with a single card just by having a monster on the field. And to get rid of a Blue Eyes is not going to be an easy thing in this format. So Burst Stream of Destruction will probably see play through other decks that play Blue Eyes in it. And I feel as if it's going to be a very versatile, very competitive card soon. And now for the extra deck. Now, in this extra deck, it's not entirely complete. I still have a lot of work to do. There's only a handful of extra monsters in here. We'll start off with the staple Stardust. Gotta have Stardust. Stardust is absolutely amazing. This can be made through Flamvale Guard and one of my Elemental Dragons. This could be made with Whitestone and an Elemental Dragon. This could be made with Maiden and an Elemental Dragon. Pretty much anything comboed with an Elemental Dragon as far as my tuners go, except for my Debris. Scrap Dragon, staple card as well, just like Stardust. Same summoning conditions, and Scrap Dragon is also very good because I can target my Castle of Dragon Souls with it and target another monster and then get the effect of my Castle of Dragon Souls. Or I can target Maiden and then use Maiden's effect to bring out a Blue Eyes and so on. Now, this guy, the Azure Eyes Silver Dragon. This card is so broken, it's not even funny. When it's when it's special summoned actually, it protects all dragons that I currently control on the field when he is summoned. So with that, I could sit there with a Scrap Dragon, a Thunder End Dragon, and a Azure Eyes on the field together. And if my opponent has no response to Azure, then it's OTK. Because Azure just protected all my monsters. So no Mirror Force, no nothing is going to get in my way. And during your standby phase, he can bring back a normal dragon type monster, which means Veiler's not going to affect him. However, that Fiendish Chain can affect him, and that Breakthrough Skill can affect him. Now, the only thing that's probably the most broken about him is the fact that he makes it to where your dragons cannot be targeted by card effects, nor can they be destroyed by card effects until the end of your opponent's turn, essentially. And we have a random level 9 XYZ monster, which I actually just realized can't be made in this deck. So we will skip that. For anybody who was wondering, it was actually Ally of Justice Decisive Field Marshal. I just read his condition. It's 2 or more non-tuner monsters, but never used him, so that's okay. Last monster in the Synchro lineup is Star Eater. Very self-explanatory card. I play E-Dragons, I play Debris, Star Eater. Everybody knows what he does, everybody knows his amazingness. And now my favorite monster in this deck would be Thunder and Dragon. This guy is a beast. Detach the material, destroy all other monsters on the field. Combo that with Azure Dragon, all your dragons are safe because of Azure's effect. So you sit there and you just nuke your opponent instead and push for game. This card will so go up in price once he is seeing play, once people realize his true potential. Other cards that are going to end up being here are going to be stuff like Heliopolis, and more than likely when I get my hands on Big Eye and Dragossack, they'll be in here as well. I would like to thank you for reviewing this video, and please subscribe, like, and share this video with your friends.